The first time the Dreadmaw roared, the entire space station lost power, and everyone who heard it understood, with perfect clarity, that they were about to die. I was there when it happened, my boots magnet-locked to the observation deck floor, my heart hammering so hard it drowned out the alarms. The sound wasn't just loud. It was ancient. Like something that remembered how stars were born and resented them for it. Across the glass, chained in a containment pit the size of a city block, the most feared creature in the galaxy thrashed against fields of blue energy. Claws the length of drop ships. Eyes like burning moons. Teeth that could chew through battleship hulls. The Dreadmaw of Khar'Tor. No one had ever survived being this close. But that was only the beginning. They told us humans were invited to Station Helios as observers. A gesture of goodwill from the Galactic Concord. That should have been the first warning. We weren't allies yet, just curiosities. A species that fought wars with chemical propellants and still believed emotions were strengths. I was a xenobiology specialist once. Before Earth burned half its skies black and the military decided my real talent was understanding monsters. That's why I was standing beside High Curator Syleth, her silver-scaled face calm, unreadable, as the Dreadmaw slammed into the energy barrier again. Your species should not be here, she said, 6 eyes never leaving the pit. This creature has annihilated 12 civilizations. I swallowed. Then why keep it alive? Syleth's mandibles tightened. Because we cannot kill it. And because it reminds the galaxy what fear should feel like. Another roar shook the deck. Someone screamed behind me. The lights flickered back on, dimmer now, weaker. I had the strangest thought then. The beast wasn't attacking randomly. It was searching. And none of us were prepared for that truth. The Dreadmaw had been captured decades earlier after a war that rewrote star charts. Entire fleets lost. Worlds cracked open like eggs. The Concord finally trapped it using experimental gravity snares and a station built around its prison. Helios existed for one purpose: keep the nightmare locked away. And study it. I watched its movements, the way its muscles coiled before each strike, the way its roar shifted pitch when certain scientists approached the glass. Patterns emerged. Intent. Do you see that? I asked. Syleth glanced at me, irritated. See what? It reacts differently to different species, I said. It's assessing. She turned back to the pit. Anthropomorphism. A human flaw. But her voice lacked conviction. Hours later, during a restricted observation cycle, something went wrong. The containment field stuttered. Just for a second. That was all it took. The Dreadmaw's claw punched through the failing barrier, tearing into the deck below. Metal screamed. Gravity buckled. Security drones fired beams that splashed uselessly against its hide. People ran. I didn't. I don't know why. Maybe shock. Maybe instinct. Maybe the quiet, dangerous idea forming in my mind. The beast's eye, one enormous, molten sphere, locked onto me. Everything else faded. I felt small. Fragile. Human. And yet, it didn't strike. It leaned closer, breath like a solar wind washing over me. I should have been ash. Instead, my knees shook as something deeper than fear crawled up my spine. Recognition. I raised my hands slowly, palms open. Syleth shouted behind me. Human. Step away. It will. The Dreadmaw roared again, but this time it wasn't rage. It was pain. That was the moment that changed everything. I spoke without thinking, my voice barely louder than a whisper. I know you're hurting. The translators went wild, unable to parse meaning. The Concord scientists stared in disbelief. A human addressing the galaxy's ultimate predator like a wounded animal. The Dreadmaw lowered its head. I stepped forward. Every alarm screamed. Security aimed weapons at both of us. But the beast didn't attack. It trembled. I saw it then, scars beneath the armored hide. Old burns. Surgical marks. The signs of decades of experimentation disguised as containment. They've been hurting you, I said, voice cracking. Over and over. Syleth froze. So that's why it hates us, someone whispered. But the truth was worse. The Dreadmaw wasn't a mindless destroyer. It was a prisoner. And it had learned to associate alien logic with pain. I reached out, my gloved hand resting against the energy field as it surged back to full strength. The beast pressed its massive forehead against the barrier, eyes dimming, roar softening into something dangerously close to a whimper. A connection snapped into place. Not telepathy. Empathy. And that terrified them more than the monster ever had. They pulled me away by force after that. Locked me in a sterile chamber, interrogated me for hours. How had I survived? What technology was I using? Was I compromised? Syleth finally stood across from me, her posture rigid. You endangered this station, she said. No, I replied. You endangered the galaxy. Her eyes narrowed. Explain. You didn't capture a beast, I said. You kidnapped a sentient. Silence swallowed the room. That creature, she said carefully, has no language. Neither did we, I shot back. Once. That was the midpoint. The fracture. The moment they realized this wasn't a containment problem. It was a moral one. They didn't free it. Of course not. The Concord didn't work that way. But they let me return, to observe, they claimed. To confirm my theory. The truth was simpler. They were afraid. When I entered the observation deck again, the Dreadmaw was calmer. Watching. Waiting. Silas stood beside me, tense. If this fails, she said, we will destroy the station. I nodded. If this fails, we deserve it. I approached the pit, closer than before. The beast lowered itself, massive body coiling inward, making itself smaller. Trust. That's when the hidden truth finally emerged. Through gestures, sounds, shared emotion, I understood. The Dreadmaw was not a destroyer by nature. It was a guardian species. Created, engineered, by an extinct civilization to protect star systems from threats beyond comprehension. When that civilization fell, the Dreadmaw was left alone. Confused. Lashing out. The galaxy had mistaken a protector for a monster. And tortured it for generations. What I saw next broke me. I knelt. A human kneeling before the galaxy's greatest fear. Gasps echoed around the deck. The Dreadmaw lowered its head until it rested against the barrier, inches from me. Its roar faded into silence. Silatha's claws trembled. This is impossible. No, I said softly. This is human. They tried to stop me when I proposed the final step. Said it was suicide. Said no species would forgive us if it went wrong. I smiled sadly. Then it's a good thing humans are used to being blamed. We powered down the containment field. Just enough. The Dreadmaw could have escaped. Could have ended everything. Instead it stayed. I placed my hand on its hide. Warm. Alive. Tamed, not by force. By understanding. When the galaxy learned the truth, everything shifted. The Concord dismantled Helios. The Dreadmaw was returned to the void, not as a weapon but as a sentinel once more. And humans? We were no longer observers. We were trusted. Because while the galaxy mastered fear, we mastered compassion. The last time I saw Silath, she watched the stars in silence. Your species frightens me, she admitted. I smiled. Good. Because somewhere out there, the most terrifying beast in the galaxy remembered the first human who didn't run. And chose not to roar.